What is consciousness? And what does it mean to truly live life awake? Welcome to Clarity to Consciousness, a podcast where we transcend beyond stereotypes, embracing a deeper understanding. I'm your host, Kristen Griffiths, a fellow seeker on this path. Join me on a journey as we dive into conversations with experts, unraveling stigmas, and expanding our awareness to something profound. This is your invitation to open your mind with me as together we bring clarity to the fascinating complexities of human consciousness. Welcome to another episode of Clarity to Consciousness, where we explore the complexities of human consciousness. In a world where mental resilience and peak performance are more important than ever, we often look to science and technology to enhance our cognitive abilities. But what if there was a way to train your brain like a muscle using cutting-edge neurotechnology? Today, I'm honored to have a conversation with somebody who not only believes in this future, but is actively shaping it. My guest is a seasoned entrepreneur and investor, deeply passionate about the intersection of technology and human potential. He's led and advised multiple companies, but today we'll focus on his work with Mendi, a groundbreaking neurotechnology designed to help people improve focus, mental clarity, and overall brain health. Through his journey from early career experiences to his role in advancing Mendi, he embodies the spirit of innovation and transformation. And I'm excited to welcome him here today. Moha Bensofia, welcome. I'm so excited to have you.
Great to be on your podcast, Kristen.
Thank you so much. So you have such an inspiring story of where you started to where you are now. Can you share a little bit about that background with us?
Well, so I'm from Costa Rica, which is where I am right now. As you can see in the background, I've got beautiful scenery around me, as we all do in this beautiful country. And I grew up the son of immigrant parents that moved to Costa Rica when I was very, very young, before I was one. So me and my sister moved here with our parents from Libya. It's a great place to grow up. It's a peaceful country. It's a land of opportunity. But I was always an underachiever. I was always like pretty, we say pura vida, and it's a positive thing here in Costa Rica, but it's also kind of like a synonym for laziness. Like there's not a lot of hardship in Costa Rica. Like no one starves. It's like everybody's doing pretty good, so nobody tries too hard. That's kind of like the ugly side of the pura vida, I guess. Like when you're surrounded by waterfalls and nature, and and things come easily because we're like the darling of the Americas, right? It kind of makes you complacent. It doesn't happen to everybody. It definitely happened to me. So I was always an underachiever, and I didn't really kind of like tap into that, those levels of resilience at every level until I was a little bit older in life. So that's probably what you're more interested in, which is be like my career journey, which there was really nothing to speak about until I was in my mid to late 30s. So I'm definitely a late bloomer.
Well, it's so funny that you say that, because actually that sounds kind of nice.
It's refreshing. It's definitely different.
I mean, it is refreshing. It's much different than the American Northeast mindset that we experience here. So tell me about what happened in your 30s. What changed?
Well, I think what changed was location, and location is everything. And that's one thing that people need to understand, is that if you move your surroundings, if you change the place that you're in, your physical location and the people that surround you, it's a completely different planet. It's a completely different universe. It's not even, it's an unrecognizable life. And my journey, I wasn't anybody you'd want to have on a podcast before I ended up in Sweden, and I had access to all these incredible entrepreneurs who are, way smarter than I am, and they're building incredible things. And I just became a product of being that Costa Rican guy that was surrounded by all these smart engineers and all these incredible women and men that are doing these things that are just beyond what you would do if you're just sitting in the sun, watching the sunsets in Costa Rica, which is like, how my life would have worked out, which is still a great life, by the way. It's nothing to look down on. It's better than most people will ever aspire to. But that's when I was introduced to this world of possibilities, because in Sweden, which is where I was, the average person really thinks they can change the world. And that is just being surrounded by that. That's eye opening. And then to figure out like, well, how can I use my skill set, which is the same skill set of a good bartender or like a good waiter? That would be like my skill set. It's like, I'm just like, I have common sense, which any good waiter that's trying to get good tips would have. And then all of a sudden you've got these people that are building these companies where they want to just transform industries and change the world, whether it be, Fish Brain that just wanted to make it a better world for people that fish so that they could find bigger fish, or a sport fishing app, biggest social network for anglers in the world, which was my first job in Sweden at age 36. That was my first exit. Or, Wear Labs, which was trying to change blood testing to, which started because women couldn't get IVF in Sweden and they had to go to Denmark, and the government wouldn't let them basically go and take their blood tests. And then they're like, well, there's got to be a way for women to be able to decide if they want to, like, and that's how that company started. And all these things start with just like that delusional thing of, okay, things could be better. And Mendi is no different, because it was two engineers that were like, there's this world of neurofeedback, and if you got thousands or tens of thousands of dollars, you can go to these clinics and you can get all this treatment, but it's absolutely impossible for the average person that can't make rent, that's trying to fight to, get their kids through school, right? So how do we make it so that everybody has access to neurofeedback? And I just happen to be part of that journey and very grateful. So I'm not an inventor. You could argue I'm not really a founder, but I'm always that guy that's in there with the founders, that if I bought into the vision, I can help magnify it. And I just love what I do, and it makes everything easy.
Wow. So I'm curious how you ended up in Sweden around all these entrepreneurs, and what you said is interesting, and I do believe it's true, and I feel like I've experienced this in my own life. When you surround yourself with people doing great things, you become the average of those people, and you start to do great things. And so how did all that happen for you?
Well, the thing, it was definitely a combination of right place, right time. Sweden has a vibrant ecosystem of startups. Like, it's people, people grow up in Costa Rica wanting to be a doctor, wanting to be a lawyer, wanting to be in Sweden. Yes, there's people that want to grow up to be lawyers and doctors, and obviously there's great ones, but there's so many people that they look at their idols, and their idols, like, very few people would see their idol. Like, who do people idolize? Like, it would be like Michael Jordan. If you want to be a basketball player, it'd be, Messi or Cristiano Ronaldo or Zlatan if you want to be a soccer player. But then with Sweden, they've got these tech founders. Like, now the new world, like, they look up to these tech founders. So everybody wants to grow up and be Daniel Ek. They want to found Spotify. They want to create these companies. They want to be Mark Zuckerberg or Elon Musk, or like people. It's this new world. And that was like at the beginning of that genesis, where everybody's like, wow, like, their biggest entrepreneur is a guy that grew up in one of the roughest neighborhoods in Stockholm. They're like, wow, if he could do it out of Rågsved and he could start Spotify, like, I can do it. So then all the kids are like, I want to start the next multi-billion-dollar company, and I want to reinvent these games, or I want to change this, or I want to change this thing in healthcare. And it's this compounding energy. It's this, I want to use the word delusion, but there's nothing delusional about it. It's just delusional if you're not in it, because these people understand the possibilities. They understand the power of just being able to build things. And for me, the genesis was that I was around this, and then I'm like, the one thing that Swedes don't have is they don't know how to sell things. They don't want to talk about things. Like, the two guys that started Mendi are brilliant. Brilliant. I love them. They're very, very different. Two Swedish engineers. I get way too much credit for Mendi. I deserve none of it. The founders, the guys that built it, are a guy named Sammy, who is Swedish from Karlstad, and a guy named Rickard, who is also Swedish and from Stockholm. And these guys came together and they decided to build exactly what these neurofeedback clinics were building. And they were selling these machines for tens of thousands of dollars. And they're like, Rickard, who's a brilliant engineer, he's like, I could miniaturize this and build this for a lot cheaper And then every single mom could buy this and have this at home for her family. Like
Mhm.
that's kind of like the genesis. And I just happened to be, you know, right place, right time, like everything in my life, Mr. Magoo, not falling into a pothole. I just basically came on board with all my issues, my PTSD from my time at war, my, everything from my, like all sorts of issues that I've got, my ADHD, my lack of focus, my lack of concentration, all my stuff. And all of a sudden I start using this and it's amazing. And I feel better and I can sleep better. And I'm nicer to people because I feel better. I can control my emotions better. I'm not, binging on the cookies the way that I was before. Like it just helps you make better decisions. And the science is very simple, right? And we can get into the science. I know you want to hear about that, but bottom line is I come in, I become the first investor in the company, which I am the first money in most of the companies that I invest in, right? I'm the guy that I will take a gamble on a founder if I believe them and I believe that they truly love their mission and that they're committed to it. So if it's something that I believe in, I'll put the money in. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't matter. We'll come up with something else. Like, so for me, I do everything with my gut because I'm not the smartest guy in the world. So it's like less logic, more intuition, more instinct. And
Mm.
it's worked out really, really well. And then Mendi, from there, it turned into 1,000, then 10,000, then tens of thousands of people all saying the same things. I feel better. I'm not having panic attacks anymore. My anxiety's gone. I'm et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm just fortunate that I get invited on these trips.
Wow. Do you, for just before we get into Mendi, any last things you can share about just your experience and correct me if I'm wrong, but it kind of sounds like you didn't necessarily start from having a ton and then you became an investor. Anything you can help, like if anybody's out there interested in understanding that growth pattern or
That's
what
a really good
happened?
question that I don't
Yeah.
hear a lot. That's actually a great question that I don't hear. I don't know if I've heard it because people assume that if you're an investor, you start out and mom and dad give you $10 million and then you're an investor. No, I started with zero. I started with less than zero. But what I did is I figured out that you can always leverage expertise or personality or attitude for equity. If you're not trying to, if you're not trying to live above your means day one, you can get equity that is compoundingly more, it's way more valuable than the cash money that you'd be able to. So my advice to a lot of people that join founding teams is try to negotiate just as much money as you need so that you can live. You don't need a penthouse day one because a lot of people, they'll come in, they'll go for the $25,000 salary and blah blah blah. I've got a couple of companies I've invested in with similar stories now where they were consultants. These companies that they help build, yeah, they're happy. They're charging 30,000 as a retainer, blah blah blah, all this stuff. These companies have sold 400, $600 million. You're getting zero. That's it. You better stretch out those 30K that you made per month during those 9 months that you were on the project building this company because you're not going to get it. It would have been a lot better to just pay out of your own pocket, collect zero, and end up getting 5% of that company because 5% of 400 million is quite a bit. Like it's just common sense. And for me,
Yeah.
I got that very, very quickly. And to be fair, I had very, very good advice from some of the smartest people in the world. And I have become very good at surrounding myself by people that are just amazing, moral compass, super sharp, and that are just giving, smart, kind people. And one thing that I've learned is that the most successful people are the most generous with this advice, which is invaluable. So yeah, how do you make investments? How do you become an investor without having money? There's hundreds of ways, hundreds of ways. Go in there, prove yourself, negotiate a deal. When I came into Fishbrain, I negotiated equity. That's money. Came into Wear Labs, I negotiated equity. That was money. That money. So you're making, let's say, the bare minimum during that ride that you're on this company. But then when you cash out those shares, those shares are worth a nice lump of money. Then you start building enough capital so that you can actually make cash investments. Because, now I can make $1 million investment into one company or to another company, even more. I've made bigger ones very recently, but you couldn't do that, unless mom and dad gave you $10 million, which you'll probably blow, or that you've built up enough equity that would give you that money. Because unless you're LeBron James, you're not going to be making millions of dollars a month to play basketball. Like, nobody's going to make a salary that's that ridiculous, especially a guy like me that barely graduated high school.
Thank you so much for sharing that insight with us. I think that's so helpful. And I think a lot of people will gain a lot of value from that. So I really, really appreciate that insight. Just so moving to Mendi, you've had a tremendous amount of experience, and it sounds like you've gained a lot from using the device. I actually have one too. And I've had the opportunity to use it, and I can share my thoughts with you too. But I'd love to hear like how it started for you in terms of use and what you were dealing with. You shared a little bit about what some mental issues that you were experiencing, and how Mendi helped you with those.
Right. So anytime you can set a routine that puts you in a good place, that primes you to succeed, that's a big step forward. Everybody at this point. So I was born in the 70s. So for me, like when I was in high school, for example, like if a 15-year-old guy would have talked about mental health, everybody would be like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, now everybody talks about it. It's a real thing. If I would have talked about meditation at age 15, it would have been like, what is wrong with you? That is, voodoo, witchcraft, whatever. Now everybody across the board accepts, for example, that the meditation is a good thing, right? The thing is, Mendi is basically a much more powerful meditation where you're actually tracking what is happening in your brain by visualizing what's happening in your brain. If we understand how the brain works, then we can make use of what the Mendi device does for us. So what you're doing is you're playing a game on your mobile phone. And what this game is doing is it's positively reinforcing when you increase oxygenated blood flow to the prefrontal cortex. The prefrontal cortex controls the executive function. The executive function is our decision-making matrix. So basically, the difference between a mom that is stressed out of her mind, beating the shit out of her baby, and not doing it can be just a little more oxygenated blood flow to the prefrontal cortex. This is a very serious thing. As a kid that got beaten a lot many years ago, I can understand a lot of these things probably better than a lot of people. Very small things that we can do in our life can impact us positively or negatively. Getting your brain to strengthen and working on those neural pathways that put you in a position to succeed are everything. It's the difference between failure and success. So what you're going to do is you're going to put yourself in a situation where you're doing these training sessions, 10 minutes a day, a few times a week, that will just get you in the right frame of mind so that you can perform better. And that is compounding. It's no different than going to the gym and lifting weights little by little. Is there going to be a giant improvement from Monday to Tuesday? Probably not. But is there going to be a giant improvement from January to April? 100%.
Yeah. So I think it might be helpful just to talk a little bit about what the experience is. You talked about the app and using your phone. So essentially, you download an app, and the app kind of walks you through the steps, and while you're wearing the device around your head. And so if you're on YouTube, you saw me hold up the device. But if you're just listening on the podcast, essentially you wear the device around your head, kind of above your eyebrows. And
the app is going to prime you. It's going to get you into some breathing exercises so that you can be as relaxed and comfortable as possible so that you can tackle your training session. And when you get into your training session, what you need to do is you need to basically control the ball. And when you control, the word control is everything. The reason why people get out of their car and get in a fist fight when somebody honks or somebody cuts them off is a lack of control. A lot of times we romanticize lack of control. It is the most difficult thing is not getting out of the car, not pulling down the window and giving somebody the finger. The difference between the person that can stop themselves from doing it and the person that can't is just emotional regulation. It's oxygenated blood flow to the prefrontal cortex. Same thing applies to making better decisions, to not drinking the whole bottle of tequila, or not getting up and going to the gym versus getting up and going to the gym because you're disciplined and you've gotten into that frame of mind. These behaviors are compounding. Doing the right thing adds up, and that translates into every part of life. So what you're doing is you're getting into the zone and you're flowing, you're melting with the ball, you're becoming one. That ball doesn't care about your eye movement. What that ball is doing is it's got light sensors that are going through your skull at different wavelengths. So there's different lengths that the light goes in where it's reading the redness, the saturation of oxygenated blood flow that goes into the prefrontal cortex. This is called hemoencephalography. That's HEG. It's the type of technology. Basically, to simplify it, Costa Rican barely graduated high school explanation is more oxygen, better.
Yeah.
Less oxygen, worse. That's why, for example, smoking a lot of weed, which gives you less oxygen to your brain, is a bad thing. Yes, you feel relaxed and all that. And there's a lot of topics we could go off on, but what people should understand is that anything that makes you have less oxygenated blood flow to less oxygen across the board is a bad thing. Let me put it this way. More oxygen to the prefrontal cortex has been proven to help adolescent juvenile delinquents stop committing crime. It will stop you from stabbing somebody. If you've been in a bad relationship where you just want to swing at the person that you're with, if I could just grab you and say, I'm going to put a little bit more oxygenated blood flow to your prefrontal cortex, you'd be able to walk away. That is powerful. It's about control. And it's about doing this. The real life translation of this is that you learn to tap into this without playing the game,
right.
Which means that a race car driver would become better at driving their race car because they're more in tune. They're more in charge of their prefrontal cortex, as opposed to just letting the amygdala, take over and panic and just start screaming or whatever.
Yeah. Okay. So when I was using it,
yes.
I was very confused as to whether or not I was truly controlling the ball or not. Are you able to control the ball mentally? I don't understand. I don't exactly know how that works.
Yeah, the signal is very accurate, but it takes a while. Just so you know, there's people, by the way, that get it immediately. I have one of our investors, a guy named Naveen Tukaram. This guy is so in tune, hardcore meditator. This guy is just so zen. This American Indian guy who's a brother, and he literally would sit at a crowded restaurant where I couldn't get anything to move. If I put on a Mendi, they'd be like, "This guy doesn't have a brain. There's nothing in there." This guy will literally just keep the whole thing flowing up. You understand? It's about control. You will get there eventually. Now, we got to be realistic. Different people have different capacities. Different people have different, ceilings. And, some people will never be great at it. That's how it is. It's like you and I, we start running together. One of us is just genetically better. One of us is better built for it. There's different hyperperfused areas in the brain, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But yes, what the brain is communicating is exactly what is happening inside of you. So it's an accurate reading of what's happening. Now, if you start to overthink what you're doing, it's probably going to go crazy or fall flat. You need to get into that zone where you just let it be. And once you get it, you get it. Then it'll be like riding a bike. And the
Okay.
most important thing is to be able to control that flow. You want to be able to hold it as long as you can. Those are the
Mhm.
sets, basically. If we're going to talk in training, in gym terminology, those are the sets.
Yeah. Yeah. Would you say so? There's a lot of things that people do now to help with, I guess, control, emotional regulation, that kind of thing. For example, I can think of like ice baths or cold plunges, for example, meditation. What do you think is the difference between what Mendi does and some of these other things? Like, what sets it apart?
I think from day one, when I first made my investment in Mendi, I've been asked, "Oh, is this better than that? Is that better than this?" And I'm like, "That's completely the wrong way of looking at it." It's
Hmm.
like if it's like if some parents would come up to me and like, "What do you think is better? That we read bedtime stories to our kids, or that we teach them how to ride a bike?"
Yeah.
That's a very weird question. It's like, well, how about you do both?
Yeah.
So for me, everything adds up and everything is good. You wanna double down on the positives and you wanna cut down on the negatives. That's really what it is. It's do I think that because you're using Mendi, you should stop doing this or that? No, like it's everything plays a part. There's not one thing. There isn't a pill that you can take that's the 100%. This
Hmm.
is the thing. People are lazy and our brains are a little binary with this. Oh, this is the thing that's going to fix me. This is I just, I have this one thing. It's going to fix my life. There's no such thing as there's one thing that's going to fix my life. It's the combination of the individual parts. Mendi is a positive part of that will help you with your anxiety that's been proven to help tons of people with things like depression, like ADHD, like there's anecdotal stuff, but there's also the science. There's a lot of and you can find this all on the website. It would be something like saying. By the way, I'm not the biggest fan of cold plunging. I'll do it, but it's I don't think the effects are as they get exaggerated a little bit if you look at
Hmm.
the science.
Hmm.
But there's nothing wrong in doing all these things, and there's nothing wrong with just testing things and see what works. Because Kristen is very different to Moha. Like I'm a
Yeah.
Costa Rican man. You're an American woman.
Hmm.
American, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So it's like I think people should try everything. Uh, Brain training, unless you can tell me somebody thinks that training your brain is a bad thing. It's like I just don't see how that could be a bad thing. It's like telling me that doing push-ups is a bad thing. It's like, well, I don't think it's a bad thing. I don't think going out for a run is a bad thing. So it's
Hmm.
like it's the combination of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I personally don't love cold plunging. It's not like I have to like really psych myself up to do it. This is not something I need to feel, like psych myself up to do. It's actually quite enjoyable and fun, and I find myself feeling very relaxed after a session. What have been some of your experiences? I know you've been using it a lot longer than I have.
And by the way, I'm not anti cold plunge. I'll do them every once in a while. Like it's like to me, it's like it's a fun experience, and then you try to test yourself and you try to see how long you can stay, and it's a fun thing, right?
Yeah.
But sorry, what did you say? How long I can
No, I was just curious about your experiences with Mendi. Like, what have you seen personally that has been impactful for you? Uh,
control?
yeah.
Control. I have. So I am the product of, I grew up with immigrant parents. Emotional regulation was a big problem in the household. And me and my sister turned out really, really, really well. My sister got her shit together way longer than I did. She's incredible. I was just with her earlier today. And for me, a lot of things were just how to not react, how to take a step back and make better decisions, because I'm very impulsive. I'm the kind of guy that will like just act. And I think that's still, it's an advantage. It plays to a lot of the investments that I've made have just been because I don't sit down and overthink things. And those have been some of my biggest successes. But for me, it's really gotten my control level, what we call agency, to be at a much higher level. And that's going to make me just be in control of all parts of my life, whether that's
Mhm.
relationships, friendships, work, prioritizing things, workouts, priming yourself basically so that you have a positive day. It's so for me, it's the anxiety, the jumpiness, the reactivity. That
Mhm.
all gets a lot better. My sleep improved a lot. I had very bad nightmares, which is one of the first things that I noticed. And then after that, it was just a girlfriend I'd had a bad breakup with, literally telling me like, "What's wrong with you? You seem so much nicer." It's like it's you.
Mm.
You're not numb. It's not like you're one of these people that are on antidepressants or taking some something where they're just like numb. So it's like they're
Yeah.
nice because they're not fully there. Like you're fully
Mhm.
there, but you're just like more positive. And I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah. So for me, that was a very noticeable thing.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So I don't suppose that meant you guys got back together after Mendi
Well, now that
and
you mention it, we did try for a bit afterwards. Yeah. And yeah, well, she's a great girl. We're not together, but she's great.
well, something I forgot to mention earlier, but I do want to take a second to mention it now, is that Mo has been so generous in donating a Mendi to somebody out there who needs it. So, for anybody listening to this episode, now that you know a little bit more about the device, if you haven't heard of it before, we are giving one away to a listener. All you have to do is, if you're interested, be sure to message me on one of our platforms through Instagram or YouTube, the Clarity to Consciousness, and let us know why you think that you would benefit from Mendi, and we will give somebody a Mendi and send it to their home. So I just wanted to give that shout out. Thank you so much. Mo's been so generous to do that for us, and I'm excited to help somebody out who needs it.
And I'll tell you that one of the good things about Mendi is that device that you have right there, it's not just for one person. We're not Apple. It's not an iPhone. It's meant to be used by as many people as possible. So have your spouse use it, have your parents use it, have your children use it, have your grandchildren use it. One device, our KPI is not how many devices we sell, how many devices we put out there. It's how many people are impacted by it. So it's ideally we get 50 people out of each device that are just feeling better and tackling the life's problems, better with more resilience and more mental fortitude.
Hmm. Yeah, I love that about the Mendi and what you guys do. That's incredible. And it's I have a son. What's so cool about the universe and the way life works is that my son is someone who struggles in school, and we were thinking about potentially, do we get him tested for ADHD? Do we, and then you have to go down the road of like, do you consider medication? I am so grateful to have something that could potentially help him in school focus better, start to feel better. I haven't used this with him yet, but I will soon when I see him next. And so I'm so excited to share. And I will be sure to report back to anybody who's interested. But it's so wonderful that you can buy one device and have it for the family.
Well, as someone that was always a terrible student, I say that in quotation marks because I have some issues with the educational system as a whole, which we're not going to get into. But I think that yes, I'm not anti-pharma. We're not anti-pharma, but I am anti not doing whatever you can before going down the pharma road. So
Hmm.
it's like saying I'm not anti Ozempic if you need to use Ozempic, but I'm more pro, try to lose the weight, the old fashioned way.
Yeah.
Try to do that as a last resort. Pharma is great for a lot of people. A lot of people's lives are improved dramatically by pharma, but there's a lot of times when we don't need it. So if you can have that aid that can put you in a better place, yeah, you should definitely go for it. And by the way, there's tons of people that have used it for exactly the same reason. So I really hope it does your boy a lot of good.
Thank you so much. I'll be sure to let you know. And I really appreciate all that you guys do. I know that my time with you is dwindling, unfortunately, but I have a couple last questions that I ask all my guests. This podcast is all about consciousness. So, reflecting on our conversation today, what's one key takeaway you'd like our listeners to remember about consciousness and the work that you do?
I think that nature is the ultimate technology, and everything that we need in life is inside of us. Like, we have everything that we need. People just don't know how to tap into it. So many times people are looking for outside aids. I could talk about this for hours. That's why you see all these people going into the jungle and taking drugs and and it helps some people, it screws some people up. There's a ton of things that we could go into, but for me, we are perfect. Your boy is perfect. I'm perfect. I just took 2 horrible students who, he's going to turn out great. Don't worry. Like, it's school does not define how well we do. All the most successful people I know didn't graduate college. So what you do is you just tap into what you've been wired with even before you knew that it was in there. The key, honestly, is to just let go, and then everything works out. Everything is perfect. Everything flows. Yeah, that's exactly what I needed to say.
Oh, that was a great answer. If someone's just starting their journey towards a deeper understanding of consciousness, what advice would you offer them?
Trust yourself. It's all in there, honestly. Like, I'm one of those people, by the way, and I'd probably be one of the worst people to ask a question like this, because I don't get enamored with people, with figures. Like, I don't listen to people. I don't have like, oh, so and so said this. Oh, look at this magical quote from so and so, because I I grew up a loner. I was a mama's boy and I was a loner, and I wasn't very close to my dad. And I had a sister I wasn't great friends with until I was an adult. So I was literally by myself. I was 2 years younger than all my classmates, so I couldn't play sports with the boys. I grew up and became big and strong afterwards. I had that spurt after I left high school, but I was a child when my classmates were 2 years older. And for me, it's like, I just figured out that literally everything is contained in you. And resilience is inside you. Like, you don't really, yeah, if you need a motivational seminar to help you, if you need to read a book to help you, if you need to get into some religion, great, go for it. Do your thing. But for me, it's even simpler. We can dumb it down. And if you're alone sitting under a tree, you've got everything you need. So just trust that that is the truth.
Mm-hmm.
People don't listen to themselves.
They don't listen to that little voice inside sometimes, do
It's
they?
always right.
Mm-hmm. My last question for you. In your opinion, what does it mean to live life consciously?
To go to sleep proud of yourself, to wake up excited, to have purpose.
Yeah, that's a great answer. Thank you so much.
Thank
For,
you.
for those who want to, keep in touch or follow you, how do people get a hold of you?
I'm not an influencer, so it's not the. I love that the first thing you asked me before you started recording is, how can I serve you? It was such a beautiful thing. So that was like my biggest takeaway from this, by the way. It wasn't on camera, so I just wanted to make it very clear that that's how it started. And I think you're awesome for it.
Thank you so much. I
Thank
really
you.
appreciate that. That means a lot. And the fact that you're here and our time is so precious. It's one of the most valuable assets we have. And the fact that you spent this time with me really means a lot, Moa. So thank you.
Thank you, Kristen.
And thank you all so much for listening. If you've enjoyed this episode, please share it with somebody who might also benefit from it. And once again, don't forget, we're doing the giveaway to somebody who needs it. So if you're interested in a Mendi device, please reach out. I'd love to hear from you and how you've been moved by this episode. So for all those listening, stay curious, stay conscious, and keep seeking clarity. Much love. Bye for now.
Pura vida.